live. Hey, I'm live. Maybe we can. No. Well, it's a little early for that. Let's get in here and do sound checks first. I always forget that those never. Those never change over. Oh, because I'm looking at the wrong one. I'm always looking at the wrong scene. And I'll be honest with you. But, James, how are you? How was your mic specifically? But how are you? How was your trip? On your trip? Oh, it was a work trip. Oh, well, that's not as exciting. That's what I'm checking.
Row.
There you go. How about that? How about now? That's why we're doing audio checks.
That's why
Shake,
we do audio checks.
shaking off the dust here.
Yep, that's better. Yeah.
I need to air dust my computer. It's so dusty. But I thought it'd look really bad if I just borrowed an air duster from work, you know?
Why would that be bad?
It's bad in the Midwest, I guess. I don't know where you're from. Wait, Utah might have similar issues, but it's frowned upon. We'll say the least. What is this
Why
box
is
in
that?
my shop?
Oh, okay.
Bad things. People abuse them.
Interesting.
People abuse everything, though. But I really just want to be like, hey, a tea guy. Let me borrow this. But, anyways, I don't know what that box was. Not my box. Alright. Brian, how was your audio? Can they hear you?
That's a good question. Can they hear me? Am I here? Was I ever here in the first place? Twilight Zone.
Oh.
Yeah, you sound good.
Cool.
Fantastic. I'll make sure I have my notes pulled up. This is what I think is messing with me. I think I moved my monitors around too much, but I just like these arms. Arms or no arms, Ryan? On your computer monitors.
Arms or no arms? For what?
Yeah, arms? Do your computer monitors have arms?
Oh, no, they're on stands.
You guys are missing out.
I mean, I'm on a standing desk, so I'll take that.
I got a standing desk as well. We could go up and down with it. Mine's a little bit faster than Dion's. Dion's straight up would take like, oh shoot, we went too high. Dion's would straight up take like a minute to go all the way down. He would do it like during the podcast. It would just slowly load. Anyways, speaking of podcasts, let's hit that intro. Maybe. This is episode 379 of the Gold Squadron podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Will, to wedge, or not to wedge, Hegwood, and tonight I'm joined by Ryan. It's the final countdown. Stanzuski.
Yeah. What? 2 days, basically. Maybe less than that, because days
we'll
almost
be
over
there
on Monday.
We'll be there in 2 days.
Yep.
Me and James are setting up on Wednesday, setting up the stream. So that's very exciting. I don't know what we're going to do. Also, did you see? We have James here, streamer extraordinaire, Ritter.
Yeah, I'll be in the booth for all 4 days of X-Wing activities at Adepticon.
I just thought of this, but I meant to ask you. Did you say you're flying into Midway?
Yeah.
That's not where Adepticon is.
That's where Dion booked me.
All right. Anyways, that's a problem. Well, I mean, that's a problem for another time. But I was just thinking about them. But, anyways,
Does Milwaukee have an airport?
I have no idea. I assume so. Not like Midway though.
I think it's more of a cheaper to fly into Chicago, and then
Yeah,
I
I
don't know if
assume
Dion's
so.
gonna drive you up there, public transit up there to
I mean, I'm
Milwaukee.
driving up there that day. Anyways, I was scheduling my world's schedule or whatever, I guess. And so I've been excited, been thinking about it, been on my mind. But you know how we can even get to worlds and provide these live streams? It's the Patreons, of course. These Patreons not only bring you this podcast, but they'll be giving you the world's stream as well. They're the largest group of our supporters, and with their support, we can do things like go to Worlds, stream for 4 days. Oh, I don't know how many games we said. 16 to 20, I guess, would be the math on that. But that's going to be
I
a lot of
think we
X-Wing
said
games.
10. And I think Saturday is another 5.
I don't know.
Saturday's
Correct
another
me if
5, yeah.
Chris emailed
Yeah,
me and I
so
didn't see the
19,
schedule.
19 games.
Okay. Okay. All right. But yeah, the only way we can do all of that is from the Patreon. So check out patreon.com/Gold Squadron. We're going to be talking about it all weekend, I'm sure, but we always got to say it here because, again, these podcasts are brought to you by our patrons. They're so nice and generous. So, of course, Worlds on everybody's mind. So we're going to do a little primer to start us off as our headline section, I guess. Well, I guess our headlines is the other one. Either way. I'm going to pass this over to Ryan. Ryan, how long have you been going to tournaments for?
Oh God. What level of tournament is
we'll say
under your
Worlds.
definition of?
We'll say Worlds.
How long have I been going to Worlds? The first Worlds I attended was 2018.
2018.
The
Okay.
last 1.0 Worlds.
So you know a thing or two about going to a tournament.
I do. I guess, yes.
So for those going to Worlds, like we are, what should be top priorities for those going, for traveling out and playing?
Make sure you bring water, stay hydrated, and fuel in terms of food throughout the day, in terms like snacks. Ideally, like actual good snacks, like not just like here's a giant bag of chips. Like bring trail mix, bring like stuff that is probably on the healthier side of things. Bring like zero sugar beef jerky for protein. Bring sugar isn't bad though, because sugar actually does fuel your brain power. So like when you burn calories by by thinking a lot and processing a lot of information, sugar actually helps get more of that fuel back in your brain quicker. So there's a balance. Know that you do actually burn a lot of calories playing X-Wing. I remember last year at Worlds and at Gen Con, this past year's Gen Con, I averaged at about like burning 4,000 calories total a day by just playing X-Wing for 5 rounds, which is like your body on average burns about 2,000 passive calories by just doing normal day things. And then any additional activity which involves your physical activity or mental activity. I know this because I have one of the like fitness tracker watches. This isn't required, but it's helped me understand how my body burns stuff. So your stress, as your stress level increases, so does your like if it's just coming from your major thinking, analyzing brain power, and not just like physical activity, you still burn a lot of calories. So bring snacks, stay fueled up, stay hydrated, bring like big jug of water. If you haven't already looked at them, there are offered at the Buy Art Center. So this is new for this Worlds because every other Adepticon or Worlds, I've not seen this as an option anywhere. They're called pop-up lockers. If you want to keep somewhere to store all this stuff, extra stuff, but not in a giant backpack, you can purchase or rent out locker space at the Buy Art Center on a per day basis. I have a locker rented out for myself for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So that helps if you want to keep a large amount of stuff, but not have to carry it all in a giant backpack with you while you play X-Wing. So that's a new thing to take advantage of for people who already know the drill about hydration and fuel. Is maybe take advantage of these pop-up lockers at the Buy Art Center.
That's
So
a
what
really good
what
idea.
I'm hearing is the GSP booth will not be taking stowaways this year.
No.
There is an actual
GSP
option
booth
now.
officially sponsored by Pop-Up Locker. No, not really. Don't take that. That's not really.
I'll sponsor them if they give us a couple. But yeah, that's a good one. I see one here in the chat that I'm a big fan of. Is wear deodorant and comfy shoes. I'll extend that to comfy clothing as well. Also, long clothing, because people are bending over. You know what happens when people bend over?
Belts, suspenders,
Belts,
highly
suspenders.
recommended.
Highly recommended. Very good. Yes. Also, of course, like I mentioned, deodorant. Because as much as you're not moving around a lot, as Ryan mentioned, you are thinking a lot, which uses a lot of brain power, which uses body power. So, yeah. And we don't want to have to make a rule like Yu-Gi-Oh does in their their tournament rules document that says you have to wear deodorant. So let's be forward thinking here.
They're saying the quiet part out loud, and you gotta respect them for that.
Yeah. What about you, Will? Any tips or things to bring, things to don't do?
I love a good carry around case for X-Wing. As Ryan said, it's hard.
I knew this was coming.
I have a very basic one, but I've seen people have very elaborate ones. But no matter what it is, you got to be able to move from table to table efficiently. Get like your table to table equipment ready, wherever that is. What you don't want to be doing is like dragging your coat around. You don't want to be dragging extra bags, things like that. That's what's gonna hinder you. Drop your ships. Who knows what could happen. Misplace more things. The more things you bring, the more likely you're gonna misplace one of them. So, as I said, I have like a little bag, like a little smaller than a backpack, and I have a very it's just the core box, but it's very lightweight, I guess. But that allows me
also-
Lightweight, yeah, one cardboard box, yeah.
yeah.
Like keep the weather in mind if you're like kind of walking a distance from wherever you're parked.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, like we'll say you don't want to carry a coat around, but you also don't you have to make the decision. Like
Yeah,
how
that's
cold do I
gonna be
want to be
tough
outside
this year.
walking towards it versus how big of a coat do I want to keep inside, right? Which is again, pop-up blocker might be really helpful actually.
I know.
Yeah, just a quick set pivot here. The weather looks like it'll be pretty nice on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Looks like
nice?
Friday, a high of 54.
That is springtime in the Midwest. So.
Yeah. But on Saturday, Sunday, it does look like it'll be raining a good bit. So keep that in mind if you're bringing, open top stuff and you're planning to walk.
Oh,
yep.
Yeah.
Rain jacket is a way to cover your stuff, especially if you are a person who wants to any of the slight painted competition stuff, right?
Right.
I assume by the time you finish your painting and like finished a model, like people have treated it so it's not going to get destroyed by one drop of rain. But
Sure.
Yep.
Still,
And
things to think
then
about.
yeah, I would double tap on Will's point there of being efficient and safe, and make sure that you can get all of your stuff in one trip. You don't want to be having to make 2 trips around to, I'll get all my cards this time, then go back for your ships. Make sure that you're able to bring whatever your movement solution of choice is. Make sure you can do it all in one trip. Got to be agile.
Yeah. I'm actually checking out. Uh, Speaking of previous worlds, I think we can all be pretty honest now that we are not interacting with the Renaissance Center anymore, and that the Renaissance was extremely lax in most of rules for their convention center. We're talking outside food. We're talking outside drinks and or entire coolers. And I was double checking the old Bard Center. And they specifically say no outside food, and especially no coolers, which is going to be a lot different than Adepticons of years past, which is unfortunate, but something to make sure they keep it aware. Because again, it's going to be tight spaces, so you really can't be bringing a lot to get you through the day. I know Ryan loves the Cliff bars. I mean, I got these like protein bars as well. They're like mint chocolate. Those are also really good, but nutrient dense snacks like is very important. You mentioned like chips, right? Very nutrient. The opposite of dense.
yeah, very light on the nutrient, takes up a lot of space that you like. Yeah, and I think I've talked to people who've been to the Bayard Center for a variety of event reasons. Uh, it seems like they are a little more strict slash enforcing than Adepticon was, but still not to the point where it's like, oh my god, you can't bring anything in here. Right? Like, just be
Right.
reasonable. Like, don't
Right.
bring like 5 pizza boxes in for like your group of like friends or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But you could bring in probably like a couple of food or meal replacement bar type things in your pack because it
Yeah.
fits in your pack relatively easily.
Oh no, yeah. When I'm in outside food, yeah, we're bringing snacks. Obviously, get you through the day. But yeah, I'm
Yeah,
talking like ordering in food and like DoorDash. That's so popular these days, right?
probably not
They
happening.
probably don't want you to do that.
Side note, I know it
Yes.
was mentioned the wear deodorant comfy shoes part. Expanding on the shoe part, don't immediately just focus on the comfy part. Remember that they also have to be supportive. You can have the quote comfiest pair of shoes ever, but if you stand on them for like 10 hours, and you've worn them out for so long, like if they're shoes you've had for like a year or more, you've probably flattened out any amount of support or cushion that shoe has had since you originally had it. So like I got a new pair of shoes 2 years ago for the first AMG Worlds Adepticon, and then this year I had to replace them with a new set of shoes because the others had worn out, and some actual wear and tear was to it. But like I noticed when I put on a new pair of shoes, like I actually felt more supported as I was walking around. So don't just go like max cushiness. Like you also need to support foot throughout the day. That's why like if you talk to anyone or you yourself as you if you are a nurse or someone who works at a doctor's office, they have generally hard floors to work on, and they're not just 100% all cushion shoes. Like some have some pretty dense supportive, heavier shoes because it's for hours of standing and walking.
Yeah, it makes sense. I still use like these old running shoes I have. They're all beat up, but they still work. Still comfortable to stand in, even if I'm not running
But I would
them.
tell you to go get new ones.
Well,
You said they're old.
I've been only wearing them for couple decades now. But they're so nice. They're so good and comfy. But whatever works for you, you know. James, anything else? Maybe we're talking all positive things. Maybe something you shouldn't do.
I would say it's kind of a do and a don't. I don't say don't stay up all night on the especially
Mm.
if you're planning to make Saturday for the extra day of Swiss. Don't stay up all night on Friday night. Um, there's a lot more stuff to do around the this event center compared to the previous years. So don't don't stay up all night and ruin your sleep for to affect your chances on Saturday or any day really.
I think if Marcel were here, he would echo that statement because I think there was at
Yep.
least one event within the last year where he was very sleepy,
Yep.
Marcel, and did not do very well.
Well, he was also very tipsy, Marcel, at Vegas, and I think went it did really well. Like in the first day, and the second day was just miserable. Like he came in and just went really bad.
That can happen. It can happen. So yeah, get a good night sleep. If you're traveling, obviously get your rides in order. And maybe this is the new thing we're gonna try out. Think about where we eat before the tournament ends. It's gonna be a
No,
new thing we
no,
try.
that is way too smart. It's much better to just show
No,
up at a random restaurant
You,
with 30 people and say,
no,
serve us.
we can't.
you think the
Yeah,
last official X-Wing Worlds is going to have a better chance of doing this than
no,
all the previous ones?
no. There's gonna be a guaranteed being like, oh, I just got done with my 5th game. Where should we eat? Well, let me call around. You got space for 30 people in 20 minutes? Why not?
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
We'll try.
Maybe that's a round one discussion, maybe.
We'll figure it out. I don't know. It's a new place for me. I've never been to the Bard Center. I've been to Milwaukee a couple of times, but not specifically the convention center. So I'm excited to go somewhere new.
I'm
I've
excited
never
for
been to
the stuff
Milwaukee.
yeah, I'm excited for the stuff that's going to be around the event center because
Yeah,
we're
that
used
was.
to it being the event center and then nothing
Ugh,
around it for miles. So
yeah.
I'm excited to not feel forced to eat Chicago-style pizza while I'm there for one.
Oh, the
Always
classic
the
Ghirardellis.
Giordano's
Come on.
or whatever it is.
Who
I
knows?
still have my Ghirardelli's card in my wallet for some reason. So
A card?
yeah, they have like a little like loyalty card.
Heck yeah.
Every time I
Once
see
a
it,
year,
like,
I'll be loyal.
yeah,
Not
once a
anymore.
year. Every 5 years, I'll get a free pizza.
That's funny. Yeah, no more Chicago suburbs anymore. But yeah, right. Like, we're staying local, so we are just gonna be walking around the convention center. So we got that off of our list. That might just be a pro tip, but a little late for scheduling your whole trip these days. But
Yeah. Please don't be trying to get a hotel at the event center right now.
well, it's just not gonna happen.
Speaking of the event center and walking around, I will say that the parking situation is much different than it was previously. So make sure that you are checking out different parking areas because parking is not free around the
Can
center.
you elaborate on the general?
Yeah,
Is this more like a Gen Con type situation?
Yes.
I've never been to NewCon, so
Yes,
okay.
this is a Gen Con. Find your parking garage early. Reserve your spots early. I
I
think
have
there's a
heard that you
couple
have the capability
lots,
of
but
reserving parking garage spots for a certain amount of time. I think I've seen someone
yeah,
do that already.
yeah, it's like
Yeah, I think
it's not ride
yeah, I think
share. What is it
Jason
called? Pick a spot, find a spot. I forget what it's
Spot
called.
Hero
Spot
is
Hero.
the one that
That's
Grim
what
was
it is.
using. So
Yeah, that's
yeah,
classic.
there
Just
are
parking.
some
So,
options, and they are not all equally cheap. So, but there are some very close within, a minute walk, and some that are a little bit longer. So take that with what, take that however you want.
And with the likelihood that there's going to be a lot more people, not just X-Wing people, who are unfamiliar with how this is all going to work. Like Gen Con, at least people have been there multiple times over years,
This
years, and
isn't just
years.
an
The
X-Wing
Convention
convention.
Center. No, it's not. There's going to be a lot of people who don't exactly know what to do in the Milwaukee area. So this convention is not seasoned and experienced with this city as it is. So know that it's probably best to get whatever time you plan on getting there, aim 15 minutes earlier.
Yeah, if you're
Oh
not
yeah,
15 minutes
especially
early
like
on top of your 15 minutes early, then you're late.
you're talking like going to events, not like showing up at the convention. Is that what you? Is that what I'm getting?
Yeah, like whatever you're trying to get to, just try and like plan 15 minutes of extra buffer time, maybe even a half hour extra buffer time. Because like I said, people aren't going to know the traffic patterns. People aren't going to know exactly the parking garages they can and can't go into. If not all of them are open, I have no idea like what the situation is going to be for that.
True, brand
And
new
like
event
where,
at the
yeah,
center.
it's going to be a very brand new event feel for a lot of people.
Yeah, and that's a good point though too. That I think Will was touching on was not only, getting to the event itself, the event center, but also to the individual activities that you're doing. If you're just doing X-Wing, that might be a little bit easier, but this is a new area for all of us. So we don't know where to go. At least when we were at the previous event center, we knew exactly where to go. We knew exactly where the X-Wing was
Mm-hmm.
going to be. We knew where all the tables were. We knew the layout. But here, completely new. So yeah, just get there a
Right.
little bit early, especially on the first day. Come on,
Yeah,
make
that's
sure.
more what I'm thinking of. I know. Hank gave us like the quick rundown or whatever, but yeah, in previous years, FFG, Asmodee, whatever you want to call it, AMG, all had next to the floor. Floor was always in the same space. The games hall
Yep.
slash mini tournaments was always in that side thing, and everything Warhammer was upstairs. That's all I knew. I just
So,
knew that
like
they were
as an
doing
example
Warhammer.
of something that's going to feel pretty new to people is like Ryan Farmer shared this in a different Discord, and I can show this image if you want as well. But
The,
X-wing, as an example, is going to be on the third floor. Who knew that was
there
where
you
it was
go.
going to
Weird.
be? I assume most people don't.
No one told me there would be stairs involved in this. So
There's elevators,
I
maybe
don't.
escalators even.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, that's
Love
fair,
a
I
good
guess.
escalator.
We'll have a good escalator.
Yeah, like
Okay.
the exhibit where I think we're mainly in exhibit hall A, but the whole exhibit hall is like it's a B, C, D. It's different game systems are in there. So
hmm
just know that there are multiple floors to this, up to three at least.
Okay. Well, that's gonna be interesting.
Now,
Especially
if it's
for
not on the
for us
third floor and this is only an exhibitor hall where they don't do playing games, then just blame Ryan Farmer for being a big liar.
No, this checks out. This makes sense to me of
yeah,
how
yeah. I
the
think
whole thing is situated. That the ground floor is like that huge hall. So yeah, the smaller games get kicked out to the upper areas.
yeah. But yeah, if you are doing other activities as well, if maybe you're going to other uh, stalls or going to check out the exhibit area, just leave an extra little bit of room because this event center is also much larger than the previous one. So leave an extra little time to do some walking and finding.
Yeah, I believe we're gonna be the only event there this year. I put a map up on here. If you're a visual YouTuber and you're not looking at the screen, look over here. But this is what Ryan was talking about. Ryan was talking about a different Ryan. I was like, why'd you use his last name? Uh, I didn't put two and two together that you were Ryan talking about Ryan. at the time, but that's
Yes.
really funny. Uh, so, um, yeah, hopefully everything's good with that. It is going to be much bigger, but I mean that was the whole idea, right? That's why the Adepticon moved there. In this hall, actually, I remember them talking that those two other things are going to be empty, and they could even explained it to be bigger next year, the year after that. So, plenty of room to grow, which I like to hear. Adepticon's always looking towards the future, trying to innovate, which is great to see. Uh,
Yeah.
what else? Not not about like X Wing's meta, but I wonder if table size will be an important thing to think about. I'm trying to think of other things that aren't like physically what you need to know about the game before you show up, but more of just be prepared for. I try to keep
Yeah. I
my rig real tight because I expect zero table space. Not here, but
yeah.
just in general. I never assume
I
to
guess
have any.
simple stuff about the physical parts of the game that may not be part of the direct playing of the game, but like before you go, make sure you have everything, right? Like basic stuff, like
Mm,
have your damage
yeah,
deck, double check your damage deck itself, make sure it has 33 cards, make sure it has all the correct 33 cards. Make
that's a good
sure
idea.
you have
Check
all
your
your
cards.
tokens
Make
that can
sure.
represent everything. Make sure you have all the game official stuff, even if you are bringing alternate art versions of things, that you have the real things available for you just in case a judge asks or requires you to use the real things. Um,
Yeah, and
and
also
then
there's been a couple of erratas. So if you do have a card that has been errataed, like um what like
Captain
what's
Yeah,
the
Farrell.
seal. I mean, just
fair,
any
yeah,
Jedi.
anything that's been errataed, if you don't have like the officially printed off
Print
nice
off.
card, I would at least get like the print off, just like a black and white print off, just to keep handy in case anyone has any questions on the errata.
Yep.
That's a good idea.
Make sure that you uh, input your list by Wednesday night at 11:59 p.m. local time.
Yes,
Do not forget to do
yes,
that. No matter what day you're on, you must submit
If
your
you,
list
yeah,
on Roll Better by Wednesday night at 11:59 p.m. Central Time, local time of the event. I'm trying to say this very specifically so people understand it's very important. And
get
you Friday people
Klaxon.
do not make the mistake
yeah,
that think that you have Thursday night to do this. Friday and Saturday both
Yeah,
require you to
we need
sign
to
up by
make
Wednesday
sure
on the list.
Marcel knows, because that is definitely a Marcel
yeah.
knucklehead move to pull.
It is that
Is
is
not to submit your
important too
list.
because they don't want anybody in the second heat getting information about the first heat or whatever, right?
Yep.
Your list but one upgrade different, goes undefeated day one. Well, you're heavily incentivized to, make that change yourself. So don't want any of those shenanigans. Chris's want those lists in.
Yep. Also, make sure it's always helpful. I don't recall if this is exactly required, but bring 2 printed copies of your list.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I forgot
I would
that.
probably bring more, but
At minimum 2. Good thing to do, so that you can give one to your opponent and you can give one to a judge at some point, if necessary. Also, something that people may not have read or realized yet, and I didn't realize this till a slightly later time than I expected. If you are playing in the main event of Worlds, I know maybe not everyone listening actually is and still going, still cool for you. But if you're playing in the Thursday or Friday main heat Swiss days, if you want to play on Saturday, you must earn 10 points to make it to Saturday. We are playing 5 rounds each day. Each win gives you 3 points, each tie gives you 1 point, each loss gives you 0 points. Do the math. 3 wins does not equal a go 3 and 2. you're not making it to Saturday. So if you are a person who is 3-1 and you're going into the final round, you have to kind of think about it to yourself. If all you care about is playing on Saturday, you could consider offering your opponent an intentional draw. You cannot talk about it with them before offering it to them. They must make their own decision, and you must call a judge before offering the intentional draw. But know that if you are 3-1-1 and you got your 10 points to make it to Saturday, you are very, and I mean very mathematically unlikely to make the top cut for Sunday. All you care about is playing on Saturday, you might lean towards offering the ID. If you feel like you want to give yourself a chance and a good shot to make Sunday, then you want to play and try and get that 4-1 record by the end of your Swiss Heat day if you already have one loss going into the final round. All makes sense?
Yeah, makes sense to
Yeah.
me. I mean, you have to win out after going in 3-1-1. Yeah, you need
Probably.
to be 8-1-1 to get into Sunday.
But even then, it's very unlikely because you're in a very weird bracket of people that are all going to be on a similar level as you, and like your strength of schedule is going to be the lowest likely amongst the group of people on Saturday as well.
I understand what you're saying, but I think people are coming to play X-Wing, right? Travel all the way. I expect to see a lot of games that 5th round.
So, some people might be okay with the idea of, well, if I want to make it on Saturday and have a good shot, I have to win. But if I don't play Saturday, it's not a big deal because I feel like if I'm playing Saturday, like if someone has the mindset of I only want to play Saturday if I have a shot for Sunday. And if they lose their final round on Thursday or Friday, they might just be okay with it and know their Saturday is freed up and do whatever they want.
I mean, that's true too. Like if you're gaming to play X-Wing at Adepticon, you might want to play it a second day. You might want to get 10 rounds in. So I guess I could see
I know some people who are participating in the side events on whatever day they're not playing the normal Heat is. So
yeah. I expect good crown, as always, at the old Adepticon. Well, unless there's something we missed from any of our listeners' suggestions, something that we might not have, so I think we can move on. Grimwolf, you got the best. What did Grimwolf say other than the deodorant? Oh no, that was Danger Rain. Grimwolf, you got one more thing before we go? While I boot up our next topic here. Let's see what it says. Wow.
He says he's got nothing.
Well, that's a really wise thing to say, man. Just clear your mind. Bring nothing to the game but yourself, right? What a deep thought. Well, with that, we're going to move into our next topic. Which I thought we'd have a name for. But it's just called Hunters and Hunted. Let's bring it on here. This was a brand new reveal, I believe was the word we like to use, right? Reveal?
Yeah, preview, reveal, article, yeah.
Sure. But the final preview for the new standard loadout cards coming from the XWA. Again, we're taking off our AMG Grand Tournament hats, switching over to the wonderful work that the people at the X-Wing Alliance have done. And this time we are looking at those aforementioned Scum standard loadout cards. We did get a chance to preview one of them already, the Mandalorian Din Djarin in the Naboo restored Speedster. We did a whole thing about it. He's going to be a deadly weapon, but only in the right hands. Going to be difficult.
Yeah, it's not going to be just a anyone can use this pilot, you know. Nope. It's not going to be an X-Wing, right?
No, you're not going to see him in every list. Everybody, I don't think, is going to latch on to him, but the people that can find that play style slam that ship around. Whew, gonna get some rewards
But
with it.
being at 4 points will allow you to fit him into more lists
That's
than
true.
not. So
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm excited to
he's gonna
see
be
what
good.
people can do with him. So I think he has a very high skill. He has a very high skill ceiling, but oh
Mhm.
man, is that skill floor right below it?
Right?
I messed up. Oh, there he goes.
Yep, there he
Yeah,
goes. I made
exactly.
one mistake. Yeah.
Yeah, somewhere between like Kaz, or not Kaz, somewhere between Jaeger in the Fireball and like Rick Ali in the Naboo Starfighter.
Hmm. Yeah.
Uh, Somewhere in
I'd also
between
equate
those
it
two.
close to like Lulo, right? When Lulo gets offensive,
Yeah.
but then
Oh,
ends
sure.
up
Yeah.
not being a good turn to go offensive, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, oh,
Yeah,
I
that's
thought
true.
they were gonna turn away. They turned right at me.
And
Oh.
I'm stressed. Oh no.
Oh
Hmm.
no. Yeah. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's a
I'm
good. That's a
excited to
good
see what people can
analogy
do.
too. Yep. We'll see. But we want to talk about some new ones that were spoiled. If you want to read the article for yourself, that's xwing.life. That's the Alliance's website. Real easy, xwing.life. You can get all the updates, all the stuff. Even things about their own organized play. But yeah, to check it out at xwing.life. Anyways, we have ourselves, I believe, the first ever Gauntlet Standard loadout here with the Bo Katan Kryze from the Most Wanted pack. It's got an asterisk maybe by it. Maybe? Question mark. These are not fully released yet, so only time will tell. But of course, Bo Katan flying there, iconic gauntlet here. Same stat line, 3 out the front, 2 out the back, 2 agility, 9 hull, 2 shields, and this Bo Katan has 2 non recurring charges. Her ability, while you perform an attack, if you are range 0 to 1 of the defender, you may reroll 1 attack die, which I believe is her. I don't think
I think
it's
it's the crew
separatist, but
ability.
it's, yeah, I know it's the crew ability, but I don't. Is it double factioned? Don't quote me on that.
Uh,
It
yeah,
is
I
for
think so.
Separatist and Republic, I
I don't
think.
think
It's
it used to
basically
be in
prequel
Scum.
Bo
Yeah, prequel Bo
pre,
Katan.
prequel Bo-Katan, because the other Bo-Katan crew that does like the like shed off like stress or
That's
like
the
red or
rebel one.
orange
Yeah,
tokens
Right.
when you defeat
that's
someone,
Rebel
that's
Scum.
Rebel and
Yeah.
Scum. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
This is
exactly.
Republic Separatists.
So
Yeah.
this is
While you
old
perform an
school.
attack, if you're at range 0 1 on the defender, you may reroll 1 attack die. Yeah, so exact same.
To be
Classic
honest, from a
prequels
design
Bo Katan.
standpoint, it's one of the only Bo-Katan abilities that is like viewed as good. So
Yeah, Bo Katan, not known for her good abilities. The removing orange tokens for like strain or whatever, not great. But this one, people will can get behind. Specifically note the range 0, and if it works just like the
Hmm.
crew, that means it's working at range 0. So very
yes, it
crazy to
is.
have a modifier there. I won't talk more about her attacks in a second, but we got to talk about the chassis ability. Another big thing for this gauntlet. Never thought we'd see a gauntlet SL because they're so linked to their flipping up their wings and spinning around, very Ewing esque. But this one instead has winged reversal. As you reveal a hard turn maneuver, you may spend 1 charge, gain 1 strength token, and increase its difficulty. If you do, perform that maneuver as a Talon roll in the same direction instead. So twice a game, you can get a Talon roll, large base Talon roll at that, which is crazy, off of your hard turn maneuvers. I believe they only have the hard 2. I didn't expect this thing to have a
Nope,
hard 1
hard
or a
3.
hard 3.
Hard to white and hard to red, but because red can't get any more difficult, it's just going to still be red.
So hard 3 is
Yes, hard.
still red Talon roll.
Yep.
Yep.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
That's
And
really
you can
good, by
even,
the way. I love it.
yeah. Yeah, you can even choose with Winged Reversal, if like after you reveal your dial,
There's your
So
view.
you could even, look at the board and say, okay, it turns out I actually need to turn around here because they went behind me. So then I'm gonna dial in that, or instead of performing as a hard two, I'm gonna perform it as a two
Hmm.
talon, for the cost of a
Sure.
strain and a stress. It's very thematic of their fight in The Mandalorian when
Yes.
when she's doing those like half wing turns
She like
Hmm.
where she
flipped like
like puts
one wing up and turned
one
around.
wing
Yeah.
down. Yeah,
Yeah, using them
yeah,
as like airfoils almost.
yeah, yeah. So I love the thematic here. The theme is dripping in theme here. For
Mm-hmm.
at least for the wing reversal, and then we'll even get a little bit further into
Yeah,
the other upgrades. But I love
yeah,
that
it's
same
very
same
good.
action bar.
And
I believe.
Yes.
yep,
Same action
red
bar.
coordinate,
Okay.
red
Yeah.
reinforce. The which is gonna hurt when you're doing these red wing maneuvers and stuff. But the oh
Yeah.
man, the the 360 coverage, because if you don't do the talon roll, you're looking left and right. If you want to think about it that way, but if you do the talon roll, you're
Mhm.
looking horizontally, then up and down. So
Yep.
Yep.
with that
You are
rear
changing your
gun,
front back arc profile with that. Yeah.
that rear gun really can get some tight turns out of it. But also like talon roll and then hard two to end up going like behind you to the right. That's like I said, very good, very good. I'm impressed.
Yeah.
I
We
never
we knew on
heard
a
this one
design
before.
level that we didn't want this ship to just be stuck with like a text version of Swivel Wing because we knew how bad it generally felt that the only way this ship in the U Wing can turn around is a zero stop rotate, which is cool sometimes, but then other times you're like, this is just so clunky and like loses its agility for the entire turn. So this will lose agility for one shot because you're still moving, right? Like that's the like thematic idea behind it. Um, and I always felt like a Talon roll on these things would be very cool to do and have because the Fang fighters have Talon rolls as well. They have the two.
Mhm.
This can do a two or a three. It's at I4, so you don't get like a ton of perfect information unless your opponent's list moves before Bo-Katan. In the if you're turning or Talon rolling, and this is definitely something that like if in the future if it goes well it's on the potential whiteboard to like apply this to more gauntlets because I don't know there's something about the swivel wing that feels lacking to fully get this ship in a mode where it can do anything else besides just zero stop and trying to rotate around. um, Having at least some capability to turn the ship around feels much better, especially when our one of our main theme goals for this ship was just like Bo-Katan just wants to get in your face and stay in your face and like a big base trying to knife fight a little bit, like stay close and just bully you.
Mm-hmm. No, makes sense. I mean, especially for someone who's been flying it for so well, she knows the ship in and out. So, very cool to see a new maneuver on it. But we had a couple other unique upgrades on this pilot card. We have Mandalorian Tactics. While defending, if there is at least one enemy ship at range 0, you may reroll one of your blank results. So a defensive intimidation.
Or you could think of it as a Boba Fett light because
Mm.
Boba Fett's 0 to
Mm-hmm.
1 and can
Mm-hmm.
reroll a dice per ship. This is just if enemy ship at range 0, you reroll one of your blank results. It's the really trimmed down Boba pilot ability, or you could
Sure.
also, if you're someone who doesn't play a lot of Scum or not as interactive with Boba, you can also think of Nora Wexley, whose trigger point is also just have enemy ship at range 0 to 1. Just
Mm-hmm.
have any enemy ship at range 0, and then you will get a blank reroll on defense for the whole turn for all incoming
It's
shots.
it it's like heroic almost. Range zero heroic as well.
Yeah. It's very specific,
Oh,
but
better than heroic.
it's
Yeah.
yeah, it'll be good. It really, I mean, you tell me large base with two range 0 abilities. Uh, yeah, she wants to be close. No
Yeah.
skirting the outside, shooting in like a
Yep.
Han Solo Falcon. Nope, she's
This is
in there
not your
mixing it up.
supportive coordinating Bo-Katan
No.
every turn to try and help your. I mean, you can coordinate it sometimes, but you really want to leave that dial open for that wing reversal, I think.
Yeah, I can see it right now. Move in, block somebody, get a bunch of good bonuses for doing so. Talon roll right over them, and pursue them on the way out. Very cool. We have a unique upgrade here, a unique crew. I also was wondering how you're going to tackle those commandos. But here we have sentries, Night Owl sentries. 3 charges once recurring. During the system phase, you may spend 3 charges. At the end of activation, if this upgrade has 0 active charges, each ship at range 0 to 1 of you rolls 1 attack die. On a hit or crit, the result, it suffers a damage, a regular hit there. So every 3 rounds.
Clarify each enemy ship, because you just said ship. So for audio listeners, each enemy ship.
Yes, that's a good distinction. At the rounds you spend all 3, and you let everybody know, because this is in the system phase. This is very much like, hey, sentries are out to play. And then at the end of activation, after everybody's moved, then you're measuring range 0 to 1 of Bo-Katan, and all the enemies will roll a single die, 50-50 chance to take a damage.
So every 3 turns, Bo-Katan turns into a bomblet generator bomb.
She's a little bomblet out there, correct?
But
a big bomblet,
this is very, very big, because like large base plus range 0 to 1 all around it. So just imagine that, like, this is basically all the Mandalorians being like deployed out of the ship and just kind of jetpacking around and like shooting anything that's nearby.
Yeah, I'm thinking of the Siege of Mandalore when the Republic is coming down onto in the Clone Wars show. The Republic is coming down for the landing, and all the enemy commandos are coming up and assaulting the ships. That's very the idea that I'm seeing in my head.
Yep. We wanted to try and find a way to represent the Mandalorian super commandos that are currently in the game without requiring you to use them at all. Because, man, I still like those are a nightmare to move around the board, and tying them to an SL will be really hard to do. So we just tried to find a good way to show that they still exist, but just in a different manner. And this is probably the best like implementation we have at the current time frame. We'll have to, I mean, according to test group and internally, it was powerful because it's a big area, it's a big zone. But that's why it's like probably only going to happen once or twice a game, because it's off of 3 charges.
That's why the math I was going to try to do is, so even if you did it round 2, it charges 2, 3, 4, and then you could use it 5.
Yeah.
And then
you have to get in really quickly to get it at turn 2.
Yeah. So assuming people are trying to avoid you turn 2,
you're hard to avoid Bo-Katan 4 straight. But...
Well, I mean, get out of there. Boost a barrel, I guess. Do small base stuff. Get out of there.
Probably more like Bo-Katan's going to go to where these objectives are. If you want to come in here, just know I got some sentries for you.
Yeah, on that first objective turn, that's a big. I mean, she's going to be pretty predictable on where she's coming in. Especially on those Night Owl Sentry turns. Like, she's going to be pretty predictable that it's most likely going to happen, right?
Yeah. So, it's kind of like when Deathfire is predictable launching that bomb, but it's like you still got to deal with it.
No, you still like you can't just. I was like, oh, I know what's going to happen, so I can obviously just avoid it. Like you just have to keep it in your plan. Like, she's gonna do it, and it's probably gonna get 1 or 2 of your ships.
This is a hilarious scare tactic, just like you mentioned, bomblet generator, and I've seen bomblet generators for like so many dice that just don't hit at all.
Yeah.
And this is very much like that. Just it's such a threat. As long as you have those 3 charges ready to spend, people got to check themselves, because what you don't want, is a miscalculation, and all of a sudden Bo-Katan blocks 2 or 3 of your ships on that 3 charge turn. So
I did want to take a.
Yes.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say the only other upgrade on this card, by the way, is Veteran Tail Gunner. So for that offensive pilot ability, it does work if people ran into you from behind. You can get them with your little tail gunner and a reroll.
Yeah.
Anyways, just gonna say that her offense is
Yeah.
pretty good for a gauntlet. But yes, you were saying.
I did want to take a moment and just look at the design, I guess, of how this ability works, because I'm not sure.
Which one?
Correct me if I'm wrong. On the Night Owl Sentries. So during the system phase, spend 3, and then at the end, add another step if this upgrade has 0 active charges. I think this is a new design element.
Yeah, we wanted to not make it a surprise when Bo-Katan
Mhm.
wants to use his ability, right? We don't want to have her have perfect information. We wanted to, like, the simple way to telegraph it was have it act like a bomb, right?
Yeah.
So you spend your charges at an earlier point in the turn, system phase, very reasonable time frame because it's before everyone moves. So now everyone who's on the board is aware that this thing has been spent. And at the end of activation phase, again, a similar time when bombs go off is when this is going to trigger. And we needed a way for the ability to tell itself that it's triggering. So the way we would do that is control how often it's going to occur, so how many charges we needed, and just tell it that all you are looking for is the turn that you've spent it, which would be the time you have 0 active charges, because you recur 1 every turn. I think mostly Roberto thought of this sort of interaction combination. As a group, we had a general idea of like timing of how we wanted it to work, but I think Roberto really nailed down the whole like 3 charges to spend and then like tell it to look at its own charge count that are active, as like that's how it knows that this is going to work only this round.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I can't think of anything that interacts with
Tapusk. I'm making sure that Tapusk is friendly.
It says enemy.
It says enemy. Okay.
Yeah. That was the first thing I would do. I was like, "Can you do this?"
I was like, "Wait a second." 0 charges.
Tapusk almost had his time to shine.
Tapusk. They could have been best friends, man. What a shame.
Yeah. So, but I can't see anything else that says that interacts with recurring charges or don't recur charges or anything like that. So
no, it'd just be an enemy Tapusk who would not use this on you.
I think anything that does, it's from an enemy ship, like, because I think there's like a resistance Y-wing that tells you to like you can do something.
Oh, you have to burn a charge.
You spend charges.
Those are non-recurring charges, though. I know which Y-wing you're talking about. You had to deal face-up damage, and then they had to spend a charge or get a strain. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like after you perform an attack, if the defender was dealt a face-up damage, the defender gains a strain unless it chooses one it's non-reoccurring. So like, but even then, it's like your opponent would have to tell you to like spend that charge so that to make it go off again.
Yeah, but
just
assuming they don't.
Does Cutthroat say non-recurring? This is an SL, so upgrades.
Yeah,
really
Cutthroat says non-recurring.
Interesting.
So a lot of things that refer to charges and things that mess with charges say non-recurring. So. That is cool.
Potentially helpful if we want to make this an upgrade outside of an SL. That's not something we have as a design goal currently, but all upgrades that we've put on these SLs are at least gonna give we're gonna look across after the SLs and how they do and how things are interacting to see if they would make sense to be brought out of their own SL debut, I guess.
Please leave Mando Tactics where it is.
I was gonna say I could see it on a Fanger too.
No,
could be a nice little Fang upgrade.
No more defensiveness for the Fang fighters, please.
They could use another one. A little SL Fen with Mandalorian Tactics.
Watch. Mandalorian Tactics gets taken off. Says medium and large ship only.
Yeah, I'm okay with
that. Not for Fangs.
Yeah, because you could also use that on the Razor Crest too.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, well, I mean, you can use on Sabim's A-Wing or anything Sabim's flying. So. Yeah. Katsu's a Mandalorian. You can put that Shoutcaster. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
You know, it's also ridiculous. the word Star Viper. We don't normally talk about them around here. Been
Nope.
in extended. The OG most wanted ship came not in that pack, but came in that original wave back in the day. We have it returned here. The Star Viper, flown by Prince Caesar. I always say Caesar. Correct me if I'm wrong on that.
I always say Zizor, but apparently it's
Zizor,
actually
yeah.
Shizor, maybe
Shizor,
even. I don't know.
Boo.
I don't know. It's not Exor. Let me tell you that.
I'm gonna go to
Uh,
Wikipedia and tell me the pronunciation.
I believe it's she, like I don't know, like he's Chinese or
Pronunciation.
something. I don't know.
No,
You're
Google,
talking
I
to the
don't
wrong
want
person
to.
about language. Let me tell you.
Oh no, it is Shizor. Or it's like, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. The X is a SH.
Like I said, we were talking to a bunch of the whitest people I know. So uh, that's not exactly in my wheelhouse, but we all learned something. We're going to learn a little bit more here because Prince Caesar comes with his regular stat line, that 3 attack, 3 agility, 4 hull, but we see here 2 shields, integrating the Virago right into his traditional stat line, and we have 3 charges. We also have then, 3 non-recurring charges specifically. After that whole discussion about charging and non-charging. Anyways, their pilot ability, when you perform an attack against a strained ship, you may remove 1 stress token. Pretty straightforward. As long as you are shooting strained ships, you can stress yourself with your linked actions or red maneuvers without problem. I'm sure there'll be more on that later, so we'll just pocket that one and wonder how we can strain ships we're about to attack. So, in regards to those charges I was talking about, that's from the adaptive micro thrusters. If you're familiar with the Star Vipers, they normally have bendy barrels, as we call them. So we'll see how adaptive micro thrusters translates that. It says, while you perform a barrel roll, you may spend 1 charge to use the bank template instead of the straight template. So right away I'm like, oh, well now I can only do it 3 times per game. But then as I relax my knee from its initial jerk, that means I could do regular barrel rolls then too, of my choosing, which is actually
Yeah.
a lot better all of a sudden.
Now you can do all types of them.
That's really good.
Yep.
There would be times where it's like, man, if I could I just need
I
to
could just
shift
regular
over.
barely roll. Yeah.
Just shift over a little
Yeah.
bit like a normal ship instead of doing something weird.
Just stare at the Star Viper on the board while I try to make it fit. Why can't you just be normal?
Yeah, just be normal. That's hilarious. But yeah, that's really good. I mean, not a lot to say about it, but that's really good. The choice again at I4 of to barrel roll bendy or not. Of course, the Star Vipers can go in or out if you're only flying like side slip ships. These barrel rolls can go out like an Echo D cloak or Larir, how Larir barrel rolls. There's another bendy person who took a stress for it. Who was that stressful person?
I thought it was Larir, right? Not Larir.
No, it was literally an SL card that we read.
Oh, you mean Sapphire 2 or whatever? The one that has Reckless as it, but it's like super bendy. It's like the 1 turn.
Oh, that's right. It is the hard turn. That's even
Yeah.
crazier.
Even crazier, yeah.
All right, fair enough. But yeah.
And
Other
it has
than those
sensitive
people-
controls, so even crazier.
I'm telling you, can't even comprehend that echolocation chart. But yeah, Prince Caesar gonna make good use of this ability, I think. Initiative 4 with those barrel linked into focus actions. Should be plenty. I mean, you also have boost, so those 3 charges seems like plenty to me. So
Yeah, there
it'll
was
be
a
interesting.
decent amount of people kind of back and forth. I mean, this wasn't as polarizing as Stom Maroni Stark with getting the RC2 A-Wing dial, but
Sure.
there is a little bit of discussion online, people wondering like, well, if it's 3 charges, I feel like it should just always be on and just kept the regular micro thrusters, or why make it charge based and like, have it just always be on. Like there's balanced tipping points here, right? There's a lot of power in now being able to choose any of the 6 barrel rolls, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
like forward on each side, back on each side, regular on each side. That is a lot of space that this ship can be. Um, and on top of that, we didn't want to limit it so much that it didn't feel enough like a Star Viper through a decent amount of the game. 3 charges covers a lot of the game, probably half or more, depending on how long your games go. But not all the time are you gonna want to do it. The must is now gone. The fact that it was a must
Yeah.
before meant that you had no choice. Now you not only have the choice, but can do the bendy 3 times the game, so that you still have resources to have to keep in mind for this, but there's still major power in knowing that you can have 6 different choices to go now.
Yeah. Again, it's an SL for the Star Viper. Prince Caesar is like, I don't know if for those who don't know, uh, boy, does Prince Caesar have a rich history. But he more or less got this thing designed for him, like not for him, but like for his fleet. So this is, if anybody could fly this thing, it's going to be him because he
Yeah.
more or
Oh, and
less
his got
custom
even more
designed it.
special treatment. Like
Well, he's flying the
he went
Virago, of
above and
course.
beyond for his
Yeah.
Virago. Which, speaking of which, I mean, I know I'm jumping to the bottom upgrade,
Sure.
but I think this ties into adaptive micro thrusters and why we have a charge base as well.
Mm-hmm.
So the Virago title, as you mentioned, had the shield added onto the stat line. Makes sense, right?
Right.
The old Virago also said you could do like a red boost in the end phase. We're like, that's kind of boring. We want something that's a little
Super
cooler than
boring.
that. What if we just gave it the ability to do during the system phase, maybe perform a red boost or red barrel action, which, by the way, that red barrel can be a bendy one too, or a regular one.
Yep. So
So
you gave it something very similar to sensitive controls, or what's the ADA one? What do they call the ADA one? Predictive controls.
intuitive controls,
Sure, that sounds
maybe?
right. Better than
Yeah,
mine,
that's
guys.
But
too.
you have the capability, if you dial in a blue maneuver, you do your barrel roller boost in the system phase, clear it with a blue, and then still do the other reposition link to focus with your normal action bar. So you can reposition twice in a turn with this ship, just in a different manner than your normal quote double reposition that people are
Mm-hmm.
used to seeing one action after the other.
Yeah, that's gonna be very good. Normally, that's a trade-off you have to make: is do you do system phase repositions or do you do activation phase linked actions? And he gets the best of both worlds. Of course, you got to take stress into account there. You can't do a linked action and then try to do a preposition because they're red and you're stressed. So, a lot of action potential. I'd love to see that. Um, let's keep looking though. As I skip back up to the top of this card, here we have a unique talent with 2 charges, once recurring, called Crime Lord. After you defend, if the attacker is in your front arc, you may spend 1 charge. If you do, the attacker gains 1 strain token. Somebody shoots you, you're looking at them, they're going to get themselves a strain. Very reminiscent of Notorious, another unique scum talent there. But Notorious has a whole thing about getting bonuses for attacking strained targets. Prince Zizor has that pilot ability to remove stress for straining him, or for shooting a strained target. So I feel like he's going to have that same symbiotic relationship of like, oh, I'm higher initiative than Prince Caesar, and he's looking at me. Maybe I don't want to attack him. I'm going to attack one of his cronies instead, which is kind of what his pilot ability relies on.
Yeah, one of the cycles you want to sort of put yourself in if you're flying Prince Zizor is, get someone to attack you that's in your front arc, strain them, fire at them back, remove the stress that you potentially have from doing linked action, so it opens up your system phase for the next turn to do system
Exactly.
phase reposition. So you're not locked into being predictable blue move. We liked what Notorious did, but we didn't like that Notorious took the spot on this SL card. There was also a little bit of theme of Prince Zizor is kind of Thrawn-esque in the whole like very calculated, very even keeled, very calm and collected in very stressful situations. And like Zizor believes that like he is superior to most other like races in Star Wars when it comes to, those type of situations where he is calm under those situations, and he plans so far ahead and making sure that when he finally wants to strike or gets his revenge, like it's when they're at like his enemies at their worst, like a big downfall. So we went with the idea that like he should be like lower initiative. Someone tries to shoot at him, they get something negative back, and then Prince Zizor can then benefit from that to remove his stress.
Yeah, I think it's a great little relationship there to get those strains out onto enemy ships. I mean, Notorious is very good, so I expect the same effects.
I think we
here.
all know how Notorious is.
Yeah, no,
Just the stress effects. Yeah.
other statements. Yeah,
Or the
Notorious
strain
is
effect.
pretty good. Uh,
Yeah.
we have one last upgrade on this SL. Mandalorian Optics is probably the more, in fact, the most controversial thing to come out of this article. Mandalorian Optics. 2 charges during the system phase. You can spend a charge and acquire a lock on an object in your front arc. While you perform a primary attack, if you have a lock on the defender, ignore obstacles beyond range 0, obstructing the attack. And you might be thinking, well, that sounded like regular Mandalorian Optics. Why is that so controversial? This is not a Mandalorian pilot. Prince Zizor, if you were thinking about him all of a sudden wearing a Mandalorian helmet, he is not. Ryan, why does he have Mandalorian optics? And he's not a Mandalorian?
Yep. Remember when I told you that Prince Zizor had this ship very specially made for him, right? The actual producer of the Star Viper is the contracted company Mandel Motors, a Mandalorian ship manufacturer. On top of that, he had a very highly advanced targeting computer on the Virago that was developed by the design team of Mandel Motors specifically for this ship. To highlight that, we found, we thought the Mandalorian optics was a good representation of that, because it's not like a Mandalorian upgrade like clan training, where it's like them being a Mandalorian. It's a piece of tech that also works really well to get this ship some, a little more action efficiency with those target locks in the system phase. It bounces off really well with the Virago system phase repositions. You can do those in any order. You could Mando Optics charge to get a lock and then reposition with Virago, or you can reposition Virago and then get a lock. So your ability to gain that lock in the system phase is widely increased with your reposition in the system phase as well.
Yeah, makes sense to me. This card is going to be, whew, the prince is back in town, let me tell you. This looks pretty good. I'd have to see it on the table, of course, but a lot of things we're familiar with, just kind of in a new package, which is fantastic to see on these standard loadouts. But we got to keep moving here. Let's see, we got 2 more, just 2 more, 3 more. Yep, so I got to keep moving. Not just because it's my favorite Transocean trucker out there. We have Bosk coming in with the YV666. Same stat line, that 180 degree full arc at 3 attack, 1 agility, 9 hull, 3 shields. Has the same ability while you perform an attack. After the neutralize results step, you may spend 1 crit result to add 2 hits. All normal things so far. And then we have Imposing Behemoth, a chassis ability here for the YV666. While an enemy ship at range 0 defends, if you are reinforced and the defender is in that half, matching your reinforced token, that enemy ship rolls 1 fewer defense dice. So we have here a reinforce intimidation, be the biggest equivalent there. That enemy ship rolls 1 fewer dice while defending at range 0 of you. Very imposing.
I always felt like the YV66 felt very intimidating if it was just looming over top of you at range 0.
Yes, very scary. Big ship out there. And I like it. Has a limitation, and specifically, it's when you're moving, you can move and take your action with your reinforce, right? Which means then another ship runs into you. You're not very imposing if you just like can't move because the TIE fighter is in front of you. So I like how it's.
We'll get to the crew ability.
We'll see. But so far, like I said, I'm liking it that it requires this reinforce and emphasizes blocking high initiative ships. The aforementioned crew is Embo. So I'm taking a wild stab because I've never said it out loud. But Embo. At the start of the engagement phase, if there's an enemy ship at range 0, you may perform a red reinforce action. So, when it doesn't work out, that you got your nice reinforce, your white reinforce, and some other ship ran into you, if you ran into a ship, they're going to be able to allow you to take that red reinforce action. Now, of course, you can't take the red focus and a red reinforce in the same turn, but still a great way to get that reinforce. Very Tua-esque. Red reinforce at the start of engagement phase. The Tua crew.
Yep. We wanted something close to Tua, but we wanted to synergize with Imposing Beam with a little bit, requiring an enemy ship to be at range 0 to allow you to do that. Felt a little bit better than the Tua, and allow us to bring in a character that I think a lot of people at least like a little bit from the Clone Wars series. Is like one of the additional bounty hunters from the bounty hunter groups from the Clone Wars shows that was more highlighted than others and had a shield helmet. So, shield helmet, reinforce, seemed to make sense.
Yeah, it's hard to describe, but he looks like Liu Kang out there. Big old wide hat.
Yeah.
Yes. So yeah, awesome to see him there. It's known as the YV66, known for its crew slots. So gotta have an iconic crew in there riding along. Speaking of iconic things, on your YV666, we have Contraband Cybernetics, which is the same errated ability here before you activate. You spend a charge. If you do until the end of the round, you can perform actions and red maneuvers even while stressed. This upgrades charge cannot be recovered. That's the errated part there. Great for taking red actions. Great for stopping. Just so good in general. I've played a lot of boss.
Being able to do that red reinforce even if you're stressed.
Oh yes, because it's for the whole round. You could do it while the start of engagement. I play a lot of YV66s, and there's just a time in the battle when you only have like 2 hull, and you just need to get things done, and you got to use that Contraband Cybernetics. You can use it early as well to keep that arc wide, but a must-have upgrade. And then we have our final upgrade, the Hound's Tooth. The title here for boss ship. While you perform an attack, if you are reinforced and the defender is in that matching arc, you may change one of your eyeball results to a hit result. If the defender is stressed, you may change one of your eyeball results to a critical result instead. So Bosk is turned a little bit into Rack all of a sudden. I'm just finding similarities here. That's very similar, if I remember right, to Rear Admiral Chernow's ability about reinforcing and then getting an offensive eyeball modifier. And Bosk loves the crit. I was waiting this whole thing. I was like, man,
Like where?
I need a mining marksmanship. Where's my
where
PT1?
to crit?
Yeah, where's my
Yeah,
Greedo?
I'll take a marksmanship at this point. Yeah.
I need my Greedo.
Yeah,
So
with having Embo or like a Tua like ability to get the reinforce out there and the opposing behemoth, we couldn't just straight have it be Rack's ability, because otherwise that like feels like you're going to always get crits. Like
yes,
at least with Greedo, when you're always getting crits, you're getting critted back.
there's a penalty.
Right. Marksmanship requires bullseye. This Houndstooth at least says if your opponent is the defender stressed, you may change one of your eyeball results to a crit. So if your opponent was thinking about taking that linked action, or if they were thinking about doing that K turn, or keeping their stress after doing and not clearing it because they need to be in a position, like Houndstooth and Bosk will punish you for being stressed. And I think a lot of people forget how often ships are stressed in this game, especially with the red focus from bumping.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, two quick things about that. Houndstooth, well, rules clarification here. First off, you can't do it at range 0. You can't block somebody and then try to imposing behemoth them and then also use your Houndstooth ability. Those don't work. You can't modify at range 0. But also, this is the part where it says if you're reinforced and the defender is in the matching front or rear half that your reinforced token's facing. On Rack, it makes sense because he shoots out his side, so you kind of got to aim where your reinforce is. Just like Rack, if your enemy is any part of that enemy is in that half, if I'm not mistaken here. If you are reinforced and the defender is in that half, so if they're flanking, it would still count then. I'm not mistaken in that, right?
Correct.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah, it's weird how Rack and this Houndstooth both essentially have abilities that work off of Reinforce, but don't have the restriction of how Reinforce is applied for the ship when that type of modification would come up defensively. Where normally, if they're in the half that's reinforced, they need to be all the way in the half. If they're flanking, then they lose that additional mod.
They lose the defense, but they don't lose the offense though. So when I read that at Houndstooth, the builder was like, well, why would you ever reinforce the back? You can't attack out the back. Well, that's because if they're on the side, but other ships are attacking your rear, you might be reinforcing your back and still be able to use your Houndstooth ability. But it also means, though, as we said, if you're flanking, that reinforce doesn't work. So a little bit of a trade-off there when you choose to reinforce the rear. Overall, as a big Bosk lover, I think it's very interesting. Nothing too game break, like him shooting 4 dice or something at long range. Nothing crazy like that. But just gets to just crash around the board, being scary, which I love to see. Now let's keep moving here. Just got a couple more. This is Cad Bane in his Rogue class. Comes in normal stat line 2-2-5-2. This one has 2 recurring charges. After you perform an attack that hits, you can spend both charges to transfer 1 of your non-lock red or orange tokens to the defender. I forget which. I believe this is the Scum CAD because the Separatist CAD, normal customized CAD, is like free actions. So this must be
action when friend dies or something.
Yeah.
So this is Scum CAD.
Scum CAD. So same ability. All right. So we'll see what else, if anything. We assume something's changed. We have Dead to Rights. While you perform an attack, if the defender's in your bullseye, defense dice can't be modified using green tokens. So again, same ability here. Very similar stat line. or action bar rather. Focus boost, focus roll, evade roll, target lock, and red cloak from the Xanadu blood. So all that's
There's
checking out there.
technically a change in the action bar. Technically. The original action bar had a
Oh, a red
red
boost. Yeah.
base boost. It's not there because you can't put engine upgrade on this SL card to make that matter more than just like if you're boosting with this ship, you're going to likely focus boost because you could only red boost if you had the red boost on the bar and the focus to red boost. So I don't know why anyone wouldn't focus into red boost. I guess unless you were facing Paylob and didn't
I was
want to
gonna
give him a
say.
focus or something.
Well, that's on you for
Yep.
for the situations you found yourself in, Cat Bane.
Yep.
That's the scum shenanigans coming back around onto you. But yes, that is correct. I did not see a red boost in there. So, otherwise though, pretty normal there. Great action bar. Whew, what a good action bar there. Now we move on to the cannon. Remember, those rogues traditionally only have 2 attack dice. This one has a flechette cannon, makes a return. This attack reads attack. After this attack hits, if the defender is in your bullseye, the defender gains 1 strain token. 3 attack dice, range 2 to 3. So very shoots like a synced laser cannon, but can provide a strain to the defender in your bullseye. Isn't that right though? Flechette cannon's an old 1.0 upgrade.
It is. That used to be like the one that could shoot 1 to 3 for 3 dice, but like you only ever did stress to them. Basically, it's kind of like ion cannon, but with stress.
Here's a stress
And
cannon, yeah, something like that.
we liked bringing it back and giving it a new look and still giving it some type of control-y effect, but requiring bullseye, requiring it to be a hit, but giving it the ability to actually do damage at the same time.
Yeah, I like it. It's a pretty cool cannon.
Yeah, shooting stress is probably not a good.
Yeah,
I
did double check, and Flechette Cannon didn't see play in first edition because it said if the defender's not stressed, and if you couldn't double stress somebody in first edition, you weren't a good enough debuff.
Yep.
So, but yeah, makes its return here. Very cool to see. Move on to Todd 360, but I think his name is actually Tudu.
Toto. It's Toto.
Toto.
Okay, so I used to read a lot of books.
His little bot
but
droid friend.
I never read these things out loud. I might have said it in Clone Wars, but I haven't watched Clone Wars in about 10 years.
I never knew he was 360. I just know he was always like Cad Bane just was like Toto.
Yeah.
I do not remember this. The Clone
It's a
Wars
little
was a
flying
fever
guy.
dream. Let me tell you.
Clearly
I'm just
haven't.
saying.
No, he wasn't even only in Clone Wars. He was in Bad Batch. He was in
Bad
Clone
Batch,
Wars.
yeah.
I haven't watched.
Yeah.
I don't watch Bad Batch. That's just
Bad Batch is good.
Clone
You should
Wars
watch it.
spinoff.
Bad Batch is good. Yeah.
I get the premise. We could have a whole episode on TV shows. What I want to do is read this ability. 2 charges. During the system phase, you may spend 1 charge. If you do, you may remove 1 stress token to gain 1 strain and 1 calculate. Let me read that again. System phase. Spend a token. I'll remove my stress to gain a calculate and a strain. So stress for strain, twice per game, with the added benefit of calculate. Very good, because these things are always stressed. As someone who's been playing a lot of rogues, oh boy, this thing. The turns you're not stressed, the turns you get your full dial, come few and far between. Let me tell you. So this is amazing. Twice per game, not stressed. Very, very good.
Yeah, it's like a light contraband, like without taking contraband.
It's closer
you're getting
to
a calculate, so you're getting like another action, but you're getting rid of your stress, so you can do like K turns as an example, or the Talon roll, or
Mm-hmm.
still do a white move and still do your full action sweep. You're just hanging around with a strain.
This is like the best of all the elicits. Babu, cybernetics, and overtuned. Like the best parts of all of them kind of smashed together here. Uh, Extremely powerful. Cannot be understated how good that upgrade is. Defines this Cat Bane build, in my opinion. The other thing that's
He's
defining.
been his
Sorry.
partner in crime for all the episodes, and he just never had any representation in the game
Why
yet.
wasn't he?
We want
Why
to have
wasn't
that.
he in the one? Where else did I see Cad Bane? Book of Boba Fett. Where was he in Book of Boba Fett?
I don't know if he was in any scene of that one, to be honest.
No, he wasn't.
I mean, Cad Bane really just like Wild West Showdown to two people in that show. Spoiler
Yeah,
alerts
I
for a
mean,
show no one's ever gonna watch. I love him.
Toto's pretty wholesome as a character, so like, if they wanted to present Cad Bane as like a pure bad guy, they probably didn't want to have Toto in any of the scenes.
Oh, I see what you're saying. He's like, get out. He's still. It reminds me of oh man, the ghoul from Fallout when he's like, he's such a mean dude, and then all of a sudden he like
Yeah.
saves the dog, and he's like never mean to the dog or whatever, right? Well, he did.
Yeah.
He
Yeah,
maimed it at one point, but then he felt bad about it, and then like kept it around or whatever. So I see what you're saying there. Like you show a villain being nice to a dog, you're like, oh shoot, that person's got
oh, he's nice
morals.
to a dog. Yeah, it's yeah. If there's an enduring character to go along with the bad guy, it's hard to completely view that character as a bad guy when he's making his debut in live action.
Yeah, that's fair. Did I read Zane and Dublin? Let me read it in case I didn't. This is the last upgrade here. After you decloak, you may choose an enemy ship in your bullseye. If you do, that ship gains 1 strain. Is the scimitar also strain?
Jam with Scimitar.
Scimitar jams and this strains. So last strain coming from Cad here. He passes off his own bad tokens, and he can potentially be handing off 2 strains every other turn or so.
Yeah.
A strain a turn, more or less.
He could Xanadu Blood decloak a strain to someone. He could shoot someone with Flechette Cannon in the bullseye, give him a strain. And if he's holding onto a strain from Toto, he can give that ship a strain if the attack hit with his ability.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 3 in 1 round.
A lot of strain.
Pretty impressive. Okay. Well, more like Cad strain.
Got him.
I really let that one simmer. Just want to see the
James,
disappointment in James's eyes. All right. We gotta be getting close here. All right. Yeah, I think this is the last one. This is Zuckus, which I've been having a lot of fun with. The next WA points, by the way. 4 point Zuckus. Try him out. Very, very good. Anyway, so we see him here. Returning in his G1A Starfighter. Same stat line. No, actually got an extra shield, I think. I think it used to be 3 attack, 1 agility, 5 hull, and 5 shields. Is that right?
He's got a shield upgrade.
I was going to say, fact check that. They used to be 9.
Yeah,
pretty
they
good.
were 9. Yeah.
It is now 10.
Has the ability here. While you perform a primary attack, you may roll 1 additional die. If you do, the defender rolls 1 additional defense dice. Like I said, I've played this a bunch of times when he went to 4 points in XWA, and people don't care if they get an extra defense dice. They don't want you rolling 5 dice from some 4 point ship rolling around. That Zuckus ability is very scary. 4 dice just all the time, and 5 dice at range 1. Just there's almost no reason not to do it. Red dice are better than green dice, so unless they're modified and you're not, then it might not matter. But do a quick dice check before you do this. But 90% of the time, you're going to be doing this every time. Let's look at some new things, though. We have enduring limitations, a chassis ability. At the end of activation, if you have 3 or more stress tokens, you must remove 1 stress token and suffer 1 damage. This is like some real foreboding text here, Ryan. At the end of activation, if you have 3 or more stress, you must remove 1 to suffer a damage. So somewhere like a must electronic baffle. I'm sure we'll get more to that of how he could even accomplish that. But we'll look at the
How
action.
did we even get to this point,
Yeah,
right?
how
Yeah.
do we even get there? As a sidebar, me and James have been playing Arkham lately, and there's always some things where it's like, if the looming beast enters this location, everybody takes a bunch of damage. And it's like, what's a looming beast? Why are you telling me this? Anyways, this is what made me think about it. I was like, why are you bringing this up right now? I didn't even consider that to be a possibility. Anyways, we're looking at the action bar here. Focus, lock, barrel roll into, linked, calculate, and a jam into calculate. I can only guess who's doing those jamming. It's going to be Forlom, for sure. You know, Zuckus and Forlom always hanging out together. The G1A is a 2-seater for a reason. Everybody hanging out. I like that jam linked calculate. But as an action, I'm going to be... Sorry, go ahead.
The only jam in the game that has a link off of it, right?
Printed.
Yeah.
Everything else links into
Whispers.
jam. Nah, they link
Oh,
into
Whisper.
jam.
That's right. The jam chassis.
It's got focus into jam, though. This is what I'm saying. Nobody has... That's not a jam first. Nothing else, I don't think, has jam into something.
I think
That's
some of the
true.
epic ships do, but
Not printed, though. Not printed.
okay, yeah.
Still, very cool to see. I like that. The stress in this thing already scares me. I don't even know what to think about that. So we'll keep moving on, and maybe I'll be reassured or informed on it. Anyways, we have the talent Persistent Tracker. This is a 3-charge talent, once recurring. During the system phase, you may spend 3 charges. During the activation phase, if this upgrade has 0 active charges, you can perform actions and execute maneuvers, even while stressed. So we already discussed the timing of 3 charges, and then looking at activation phase having no charges. But here we have a potentially multi-times per game contraband cybernetics.
Yep.
That's big. That's big. Specifically was errata to only be once per game.
But now this is time gated in a way, right?
Yes.
Once you use it, you gotta wait until those charges are back up. And it's very obvious when they're available the next time. As long as Zuckus is still around or the game is still being played, right?
Sure. Yeah, so most
likely... enduring limitations. We found how you get all your stress. You could do, you could be stressed, do a red move, and still do a barrel roll link calc or a jam link calc and have 3 stress. And there you go.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I'm trying to think of. So it was there was that same thing of like 2 and 5, 3 and 6, stuff like that. Man, these just remind me of Leia. How much we knew about or learned about Leia, the rebel crew, for counting rounds. That's still being implemented today. Very, very cool. Let's keep going here to the tractor beam. If this attack hits, I gotta stop saying if this attack hits, all hit or crit results inflict tractor tokens instead of damage. A classic 3 attack, range 1 to 3. As a note, Zuckus' ability is primary only, but is the unique cannon that the GMNA brings canonically. Tractor beam, for some reason, the XWA is pricing at like 8 points these days. So
I think
maybe
it's prevent spamming. Yeah.
maybe they're good. All right, maybe the XWA knows something that I don't. That tractor beams, they're 6 points. I can get an ion cannon or synced laser cannon for that price. So they must be good. Not much more to say about that. What I can talk a lot about is Forlom. The crew at the start of the end phase, you may spend 1 calculate token and choose an enemy ship at range 0 to 1. If you do, transfer 1 of your stress tokens to that ship. Very reminiscent of their pilot ability. But when, as a crew, they need to spend to calculate. So we see there why those linked calculates were so important, because then as long as there's an enemy ship at range 0 to 1 of you at the end of the round, you can hand off that stress token to the ship as long as you still have that calculate.
Yep. We
Very
wanted
cool.
to, like, we really liked having this, like, this, the ability to shed stress with Forlom pilot ability. And then we also really, I mean, we wanted Zuckus to be the pilot, right? The Forlom to be sort of in the co-pilot, providing those calculates for a better action bar, and Forlom to have a chance to shed the stress. But we knew that if we kept the same ability, it'd be too powerful. Like, we wouldn't want it in the point bracket we were looking for. So we're like, well, if Forlom is the one doing this, he should, in the investment you make to get the linked action, if you hold on to that calculate, then like he's in theory calculating the ability to shed that stress off of you to someone else. So if you, an example, put it all together, if you persistent tracker and you're already stressed, you do a red move and you do a barrel roll link calc to get close to somebody or get to an area where you think you're going to be close to somebody, you would be at 3 stress. Enduring limitations would knock 1 off for 1 damage. And then if you put 1 from Forlom onto an enemy ship, all you need to do is a blue move and you just got rid of 3 stress in 1 turn.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. We just wanted to have there be a decision point for the player using Forlom's pilot ability in this crew form, to where, are you going to hold on to this potential mod for you on offense or defense in this calculate just to move the stress and give up your mod likely for the turn unless you're coordinated something before you move or in some capacity? Or are you, going to save it or not save it? Like, there's now a decision point the player has to make.
No, I think this is perfect because it, as you said, if it just allowed you to do a red maneuver and then pass off the stress, we're talking a totally different kind of ship. Now with this one, you need your tokens, you need those calculates, which is not going to come easy. I don't know, somebody coordinating a very specific IG 88A throwing you a calculate, which calculates not on your action bar, so it can't even be thrown to you. So very few places you're going to get free calculates. But I love it. I love it. Very cool to see. We have one last ship here, the iconic Mist Hunter. I didn't say ship, I meant upgrade. But the upgrade was the name of a ship, Mist Hunter. After you perform a cannon attack, you may gain 1 strain token to perform a bonus primary attack against the same target. So now, Tractor Beam is looking pretty good if you can attack before your primary. Very like a elite defender, which is pretty impressive to be on their caliber there. Strain token's not that big of a deal. You're already at 1 agility anyways, who cares? But the Tractor Beam, pull somebody from range 2 into range 1 and then fire that big 5 dice primary attack while they're now tractored, so you get your ability for free. I'm going to be honest, Ryan, that definitely bumps this out of the 4-point bracket like the customizable version. You can't just be allowed to double attack without
It just
paying
let
a
you do
price.
it, right?
It's
not possible.
Some
There's no
B-Wings do it,
way.
but Maybe. I guess they both don't do
Yeah, but
damage, though, to be fair. The tractor beam never will do damage. Can't throw them on rocks
no.
anymore.
Well, you can do damage in the future if you put them in front of a rock.
They could rotate ish. Ish. There's a lot of issues going on with that, yeah.
Yeah, they
That's
got that 90-degree rotate. That's true.
yeah.
But importantly as well, you could pull them closer to you to not only do the 5 die, but to dump off a stress with Forlom.
That's what I'm saying. Pull them into that range one. Be like, here you go. I got some stuff for you. Uh,
I have so many things for you. I have 5 dice and I have a stress.
yeah, I got so many things. Yeah, this is gonna be good. Um, I'm just thinking about that price now. I got the price stuck in my head. This is gonna be buy now at 4 points. Still not. What do I want to say? You're still not doing 2 damaging attacks. You're still not double modifying the easy. You're not doing red maneuvers either if you're doing any of this stuff, except for that one persistent tracker round. So this would be effective. That's kind of what I was trying to think about, was that when I was flying Zuckuss previously, that he either flew like a brick, of just like one forward, like one bank, like very slow, lumbering around, making sure he had his offensive modifier. But then like it felt like in the scrum I'm doing hard turns, I'm doing stomps, I'm doing the K turns, and I never really got unstressed with him. Kind of get locked into there. So I'm very interested to see how this ship is going to play. I mean, it has all the makings for good stuff, right? You can hand off your stress. You have your pseudo contraband cybernetics, right? And now it attacks twice, which is just there's no penalty. Well, I guess there is a penalty. There's the gain of strain. But you don't have to spend a lock. You don't have to have a lock. You don't have to spend any calculates to do that. Just a thing you can do if you want to gain a strain.
A lot of times it'll be worth it because some ships might not want to be tractored into range 1 or moved or done anything to them. I mean, Zuckuss is I3, so the rest of your list being able to pour on more damage after the tractor's applied is pretty limited depending on what you build the rest of your squad with. So that's another thing to keep in mind is in most cases, this tractor beam is only going to affect Zuckuss's primary follow-up shot, just to mitigate the bonus defense die your opponent would get from you increasing your attack die.
Scum does have a lot of low initiatives, but we'll have to see what kind of fleets get formed around these new SLs. James, do you have a favorite? As we close up shop here, we're running a little long on our time.
Yeah, what stands out? What's of interest? What's your favorites? What are your not favorites?
I think for me, it's still Mando, but I'm interested to see how Zuckuss plays, because I really liked playing Forlom in the past, and he still does have some aspects of that Forlom play, being able to transfer stress, but I think I just need to see a little bit more of how you're interacting with the Forlom crew and trying to still actually output some damage. So, but being able to go do a tractor,
that's a great point about that. Yeah, is that's probably your only modifier for that round, in case unless you kept a target lock or something.
Yeah, and I mean, like an extra die is a modifier, right?
Yeah, that's true.
I
would count it. That's classic Will math right there.
Yeah,
extra die is a modifier.
Yeah, that's what I call upsilon math, where you're just coordinating and jamming friends, but if you just bring another die, it's like having a focus or another mod.
I already re-rolled it. Just throw it in with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the potential upside is pretty good, especially if you do land that tractor and you're able to essentially get the free dice or the free extra attack for free, like the extra attack die for free because they're tractored, and you're not really giving them another agility. So
it also, I could talk about the suckers for a while, forever. But also, it's very funny to. I used to run double attack juke B wings, right? So obviously not like this, but the just your opponent being like, well, do I spend my focus to not be tractored? Like,
Detractor. Yeah.
like, I know there's an attack coming after this. Like, yeah. So it's
Yeah.
actually decision points not only for you but also your opponent.
Yeah.
And James,
So
for someone who still really likes the idea of playing Mando, I think Bo-Katan might play really interesting with him when if she's like really bullying things at range 0 and potentially hurting them away when she uses Night Owl sentries, then Mando might be able to pounce on those opportunities.
Yeah. I'll have to see because I think it's really neat, all those abilities, but man, it's going to be interesting. There's a lot of new things at play here that I think just need to be fleshed out, right?
yeah, I'm
Need to be
me.
tested.
I'm excited for Bo-Katan. 5 points, I assume, Ryan. She's going to come in. Nice slim build there. Audio only listeners just frowns at that angrily. It's just probably not going to be 5 points, but I'm going to imagine she's coming at
don't
5.
let your dreams be dreams or whatever you want to say. I can't say what it is, but man, I'd sure take that for 5 points.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, that'd be pretty good, right? Just bring her in at 5 points, get her out that table.
Just a little good.
Hey, Manaru was 5 points. She's a large base with 2 agility. Yeah, so
sure.
She's also got a turret. So if anything, probably better than this Bo-Katan.
Turret.
Anyways, Ryan, how about you? You got I know you've all seen these already and stuff, but maybe your favorite of the bunch.
I don't know if I have a favorite. I'll just mention something that you guys didn't already, just to expound on it further. Really curious to see where people take Prince Ezor. We really wanted to make sure that the person who made the Star Viper and the Virago kind of like popular in some capacity, not in just Game of X-Wing, but in Star Wars. Like he's synonymous with it, and making sure that he was good in it and not just the current custom Prince Ezor, which has not been viewed as good ever. And Guri was always the take in Star Viper. So having Prince Ezor is a good option to take in the Star Viper and all these synergistic abilities and what people can do with it. And, to some degree, what squads can you build around it? I mean, you can see direct synergies in this grouping already. Like you pair Prince Ezor with that like super straining Cad Bane, right? Like that's directly they can help each other right there.
Oh yeah, and that's a natural pairing if I ever seen one. Yeah, and then another person with Notorious in there as well. I'm forming the list as we speak. I'm thinking about it. 5 point Bo-Katan to round out the squad. Boom. Yeah. Till those points are released, I'm just going to assume she's 5 points in all my playtesting.
You can assume any points you want.
Well, what I am going to assume is that we're going to have a fantastic time this weekend. I hope to see you there, if not in person, at the old Milwaukee Convention Center, joining us for a stream. James will be there, I think 100% of the time. He'll be around. Yep. We'll try to give you a break at some point, but I'll be there on Thursday while Ryan plays, and I'm going to be playing on Friday. And I think Dion's coming to help out. Fingers crossed. We see a Dion is able to make it out to help you out on Friday. And then we just assume that I'll lose or not get the 3 or the 4-1 or whatever. That I won't get 4-1. And then I'll be back for the other 2 days for the streaming schedule. So very, very excited. I have no idea what was going to happen. It's going to be fantastic. We're going to spend a week in Milwaukee, James. So it feels like a week.
It's gonna be good.
Yeah, should be a fantastic time. But I will say, I'm glad to see not a lot of people starting the moniker The Last Worlds. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm glad people aren't doom and gloom. I'm glad we don't have, a literal like funeral procession for the game of X-Wing at Worlds. That everybody's kind of coming in with open mind and hope for the future as well. As we've already seen from the X-Wing Alliance doing some fantastic work out there. While X-Wing is fresh in everybody's minds here, preparing for the largest event of the world. Well, we're hoping the largest. I haven't seen the numbers, but by far the most notorious. I'm going to get out of here. You got one last wild card as I close out these things. I want the boldest prediction you got for Worlds. James?
Worlds?
Boldest prediction. Either one. First one to have it. So I set up our goodbye here. Bold prediction.
Go ahead, Ryan.
Oh, I was letting you go. Because I can't think of anything immediately, mostly. I was not prepared for this question. It wasn't our notes. How dare you?
Make a bold claim about the champion. Boldest claim about the champion. I'll narrow it down specifically.
Will not be a repeat.
Ooh, a fresh face out there. Okay.
Oh, like I thought repeat isn't like just Illy, like just actually.
No.
It can't be Paul either or Ollie.
No one that has won Worlds before.
Okay, so like 3 people can't win. Worlds, James. Can you be
last Worlds is when we got to bring it home, right? Just bring it home. Bring the trophy home.
This is not the last Worlds, though.
USA.
We do need. That's my bold prediction. An American wins.
Yeah.
I'm hopeful for it. We got to bring it back. Jorge was so close. Oh, could have been so cool.
This will be. I mean, oh man, I could. This is actual. I don't know if it's like actually bold, but like calling a specific player and being like, they will do this. Duncan Howard will at minimum make the finals.
Ooh, I don't know if you're cursing him or speaking it into existence, but either way, I like the raised stakes of it. He is the poster child of, like, the Wayne Gretzky or whatever. Maybe the Michael Jordan of X-Wing, but yeah, he needs to prove himself. I think it was last year.
I don't think he has to prove that. I mean, I still think, even though he's not a world champion, I still think he's the best X-Wing player.
Well, I mean, gonna be honest with you.
That's why,
Ryan,
get that world champion. Get it now.
It would be really nice to get an official world champion if you're gonna claim yourself greatest X-Wing player. So, pressure's on, I guess. We'll see. I know there's gonna be a lot of people there. A lot of great players. A lot of classic players coming back. For this official event. So I'm excited. Who knows what we're going to meet. But I hope it's you guys out there joining us. If you see if you're still listening to us, we love you, by the way. But if you see the headphones on at the booth, don't talk to us. We're talking to the beautiful people, but if you see us without the headphones on at the booth, feel free to stop by, chat us up. We'd love to meet you. No. Until Thursday, that's going to be it from us here at Gold Squadron. Right back here, you can join us at this exact same place on Thursday for more X-Wing games. Till then, stay safe, stay smart. Gold Squadron out. Nope, it didn't play it. Hold on. Don't edit it out yet, James. Because we're in studio mode.
Thank you to ISO, Danko, Baffle, Trojan, Prophet, Shadow, Tycho, Spice, Raider, Lancer, Fallen, Row 6, 626, Chief, and J List, our Grand Admiral patrons. And all of our Gold Squadron patrons and community members, thank you for your support. Gold Squadron out.